BeastNetPodcast, sponsored in part by James Safety Services, OCR Buddy, and supported by the fitness community. Here we discuss all things fitness related, running, rucking, mental health and preparedness, and of course, obstacle course racing. Welcome to the BeastNet.
We don't bite hard.
Hey everybody, it's Mike with BeastNet here, and tonight I've got with me Mark Haverland. Mark, let everyone know a little bit who you are.
So I'm Mark Haverland. I'm from northern Minnesota. I did 4 years in the United States Navy, got out, been working construction ever since. Got involved in Spartan Races, 3 years ago. But last year I ended up taking on doing a 5K and a 10K Spartan race where I bear crawled the entire race and raised money to bring teddy bears to my local children's hospital here in Minnesota. And during those races, I got introduced or ran into Bryan Gray, who connected me with Spartan. And now this year we're holding half-mile bear crawls at select events and raising money to bring more teddy bears to more children and more places.
Which is awesome, by the way. I talked to Brian not too long ago, like a couple days ago, and we talked about a little bit about this. So it's nice to kind of hear both sides. I heard how he started, by seeing you doing it, while he was dressed as a Pokemon.
Right? Yeah, that was a moment during my 10K bear crawl down in Dallas that I was hurting at that moment. And then the lady Erica, who was with me, she was like my crew videographer during my crawl. She's like, "Oh, we got Pokemon coming behind us." And like during that moment, at that point in that crawl, I was hurting, and seeing Pokemon was kind of like that. Oh, hey, this cheered me up a little bit.
Which is awesome. See, and I remember seeing him because I was in Dallas last year. I remember seeing him, and I'm not sure. I think I remember seeing you, but I had failed on the ultra the day before, so my brain was a little bit gone. So when I was out there in Dallas, so
No, there was a lot of people that ran by for sure, and I definitely get it. If you ended up DNFing on a run, you're in your own headspace when you DNF. Like, you don't care about what's going on around you at that point. You're kind of in your element.
Yep.
I know there was a lot that came by, but in Dallas, I saw a whole 6 inches in front of me, and that was a lot of ground.
I bet. I mean, a half a mile bear crawl sounds intimidating, but to do an entire, and that's what I think a lot of people don't, unless you've done a Spartan, we're not just talking about going out and doing a 10K down a track. We're talking about a 10K out in the woods through a trail. And if you did Dallas last year, we're talking riverbeds, rocks, all sorts of insanity. And you bear crawled that whole thing and then did the obstacles too.
Yeah. What obstacles I could. I'm not gonna lie, Dallas, I underestimated the rockiness of the ground. It was a big difference from the ground in Arizona where I did my 5K. By mile 2 in the 10K, my hands were already blistered and blisters popped to where I had no feeling in my palms. So any obstacle that I hit, like the monkey bars or the rope climb, I'm like, yep, I touched it, I attempted it, did my penalty loop. Because I'm like, there's no way I had like no feeling in my hands. And I ended up switching to where I probably did 1.5 miles of that on my knuckles because my palms just could not take it anymore.
Which is just insane. So you even did the penalty loops.
Yeah, if I didn't complete a obstacle, I did the loop.
Yeah, so I mean, and that even adds. So I mean, it's more than a 10K now because those penalty loops add up. And I know
I bear crawl the penalty loops. If I attempted a obstacle and I failed it, I would run the penalty loops.
Okay. So that makes
the distance of all forward momentum or all forward progress was done crawling.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that was my kind of stipulation. I mean, there's not really rules to the crawl because I think I'm the first person that's ever bear crawled it. I don't know, but
It's the first one I've ever heard of. So And see, I'm like half a mile bear crawl. I'm like, that sounds horrible.
It's fun. It's a
I can
lot of
imagine. Yeah, I
well,
cannot
we
imagine.
people who sign up for these half mile bear crawls, and they always ask me, they're like, do we have to crawl the whole entire thing? Like, if we can't do it, what are we gonna do? And I'm like, these half mile bear crawls that we hold, it's like running an open heat in a Spartan. It's your race. It's what you want to push yourself to do. If you want to push yourself to complete that half mile bear crawling, by all means, push yourself. See what you can do. If you can start bear crawling and you're like, this is more than I imagined, finish it by walking. It's your race, and it's what you want to do with it. At the end of the day, we're just trying to get teddy bears to kids.
Yeah, which is amazing. So, what? How'd you come up with this idea? What made you think, you know what? Let's bear crawl a sprint, and then bear crawl, a super, and raise money to get teddy bears for kids. I mean, the teddy bears for kids, I've heard of, different ways of getting money for that, but this is the first time I've heard of bear crawling a race for it.
So this is going to end up being a bit of a story. I guess it's going to go back, but I started my fitness journey literally 4 years ago. I was a construction worker that didn't care about fitness. I figured I worked hard enough at work. I don't need to work out. 4 years ago, actually, it was January. My son said that he wanted me to be Thor for Halloween. So I was starting to Google search and finding out ways to work out. I figured if I'm going to dress up as Thor, I better somewhat look like him, right?
Yeah.
And I came across Chris Hemsworth's fitness app, Center, and I started working out in that app, and I started to notice significant changes with the workouts. Well, in the app, one of his trainers is a guy by the name of Darulk, and he focuses on what is called raw functional training, and bear crawling is part of his movement. So I ended up, the changes that I felt, or the way that my mindset changed when it comes to health and fitness, I was on my way to becoming a fitness coach myself, because I wanted other people to feel what I felt, or see the change in life like I had. So with his certification, I got his level 1, and then his level 2 certification is a 3-day deal down in South California. And part of that is a 2-mile bear crawl as part of the fitness certification. So we ended up having these challenges between me and friends that were going to be getting together to do a Spartan. And my birthday challenge was a 1-mile bear crawl in preparation for this 2-mile bear crawl. And then we just started talking about, I'm one of those guys where my motto is, why do I do everything I say I'm going to do? Because I opened my mouth and I'm like, wouldn't it be cool to bear crawl a Spartan 5K? And like, usually if I say I'm going to do something, I just do it because I've made that commitment. So it just went from there, and that's where we started with the 5K, and we just kept on getting bigger and bigger with the goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole aspect for raising teddy bears is, a child is in a hospital, they're in an uncomfortable position. And one of our sayings that we love to say amongst my friends is, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, right?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to go get comfortable being uncomfortable so I can bring comfort to the children that can't, right? And that's kind of the basis of that. That's why we went for the teddy bears, because I didn't realize how big of an impact a child getting a teddy bear in the hospital makes until I started getting messages from parents that were, they'd message me and be like, you have no idea how much this meant. And like, that just, after getting those messages, it's like a new motivator. It's like, okay, I need to go everywhere with this. I want this to be huge.
Which is amazing. It's one of those things, it's like I was telling Brian when I had him on, I was talking to him. I had a nephew that was born at 26 weeks. So major preemie. And I gave him a Beanie Baby that he's 20, in his late 20s, and I believe he still has it. A Beanie Baby that I gave him while he was, in the incubator. And I've got pictures of him, like, basically laying next to it and they were the same size. So, I mean, he was tiny, but it's one of those things that, I've heard of other cases where kids are a little bit older that can, know what's happening, where they've been in the hospital like that and someone has, given them a teddy bear or something like that. And it brings that little bit of hope and life and happiness into a horrible situation.
Yep.
Whatever they're going through. I mean, being in the hospital as a child is a horrible situation, no matter how small or big or whatever medically is going with them. That little bit of hope that is given to them by a teddy bear is huge. So, I mean, if you can raise money and send bunches of teddy bears too, that's amazing.
Yeah, I 100%. And I hope this half mile bear crawl continues to grow. It seems to be getting a good amount of attention, and people are loving it. It's just a matter of getting the word out there of what it is, and people realizing that it's like a Spartan open race. It's not, we're not going to be holding you to the grind, or, oh, you have to bear crawl this half mile. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be a fun thing to do. Challenge yourself, if you will, but we want to bring that comfort to those children. Because I personally never experienced it where I've had to be in that situation in the hospital, but I couldn't imagine as a parent my son being in the hospital like that, and trying to do anything I possibly can to make him feel comfortable. And I'm trying to help out as much as I can in that aspect.
Yeah, which is awesome. I mean, it's an amazing. I mean, the idea of bear crawling it sounds horrible to me, like I said, but we do all these things, these crazy challenges to make ourselves better and all that kind of stuff. And it's amazing to have the idea, okay, I can do a challenge to challenge myself and make myself better. And in the process, help a child get a teddy bear, and all that kind of stuff, or multiple children. I mean, it sounds awesome. Because I know you've done 2 so far, correct?
2 this year of the half miles. Yep. Which for 2 of them, even like for the little bit of marketing we've done, they've had actually very good turnouts. So far, actually, I think I got the numbers here. Yeah, so far we've raised almost $3,000 between the 2 of those, which has provided 684 teddy bears. And wherever these events take place, we donate the teddy bears to that local children's hospital. That way it's shared throughout the country.
Mm-hmm.
For Spartan helping us with this, like supporting it, it's been, I'm still at a loss of word. Like, I don't know how to explain how it makes me feel for the amount of support I've gotten for this, or how big it's even becoming.
Yeah, which is amazing about Spartan. I mean, when you get, I mean, I know Joe DeSena is all about helping, warriors and, wounded warriors and more heart than scars, which I race with quite a bit. Um, a lot of those kind of organization stuff. And then you also have Dan McDonald, who I know has been a big part of this. And Dan's awesome. I mean, we did More Heart Than Scars. He actually joined us last year at the World's Toughest Mudder to take an athlete for, 24 hours through the, World's Toughest Mudder. Dan went with us, which was awesome. So, I mean, I got to spend a lot of time with Dan. He's a great guy. And it's amazing what, him helping do all this and everything else to get this going is amazing.
Absolutely. And I know I tell them thank you all the time, but it just doesn't seem like enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and the fun part about it is we get to have a little bit of, like, amongst the people. So we got Dan McDonald, who's been a big part of it, and Bryan Gray, who's been a big part of it. And then we have Steve Bacon out from New England OCR Expo. And we have like this little kind of a contest going to see what area raises the most money or has the most participants. And I'm like, I'm all for that kind of contest, because that's just going to make us get more teddy bears. That's all I care about.
Well, I know Brian said he's going to be in Seattle.
Yep.
And originally BeastNet started in Seattle. I live in Houston now, but
Okay.
we have a lot of contacts and a lot of people, and we know a lot of people in Seattle. So I told Brian I'm going to do everything I can to get everybody I know that does Spartans to get out there in Seattle and do this. So we're going to push hard to help you get as many as we can in Seattle, because we want to make Seattle the number one.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm from Minnesota, so I want Midwest to be the winner, but I'm okay with losing that contest as long as we get more teddy bears.
I mean, I'll help in Dallas. I mean, I'm going to be in Dallas. That's the race I'm going to do. I don't know if I'm going to be in Seattle, but I'm going to help get people into Seattle. But I'll do the Dallas one because I'm doing that race.
Nice. I know I will be in Dallas, and I will for sure be in Central Florida. Right now I'm kicking the can on making my way out to Seattle as well. We got to see on that one though.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I'm originally from Seattle. I moved down here to Houston last year. So
So you moved away.
Yeah, so I moved away from Seattle. I'm in Houston now. And that's why I'm probably going to miss the Seattle race because I don't know if I'm going to be able to get up there in September. So it really depends on where I'm at work-wise and stuff like that. But if I can, I'm going to try to. But yeah, because that's kind of my home race, even though I don't live there anymore.
Oh, for sure. Like, it's hard to leave what you know. You know what I mean? But that's kind of cool that you went to a spot where you have all these other opportunities to continue with people that try. Like, that's one thing I've noticed about these Spartan deals too, is we're having these bear crawls all over, and we have like a group of people you get to know that are just doing it every single one. Because if you do 3 of these, you're going to end up earning a kid's trifecta medal.
Well, now I want to do 3 of them. I need to find the third one. I might have to go to Florida. No.
And if you do 6 of them, you earn 2 kids trifecta medals.
I'm gonna have to work on that because that's the one thing. It's like I was telling Brian. What's amazing about this is for me, I've been doing Spartan since 2015. I've got green, I've got red, I've got blue, I've even got purple, but I don't have that orange medal.
Right, and this is the way to get it. And with the age limits now with the kids as well. Like in Cincinnati, we had 2 kids come out and they blew us out of the water with this half-mile bear crawl. But the kids get a chance to earn a Spartan sprint medal.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a child, you can come out and, like, we want the children to be there. This is for the kids, right? So why would we not want kids at the bear crawl?
Yeah, of course. Which is, I mean, like I said, I mean, it's a cool concept, a cool idea. I think it's awesome that Spartan's helping you guys, really get this going and really do everything. Yeah, I mean, it's great.
When I say I'm at a loss of words, I don't know how to explain it. Like, we're on a podcast, right? But I don't know how to explain it to people how it makes you feel. all from a simple challenge for myself, to be able to have a Pokemon come up to you at the right time and connect you with the right person. I mean, Dan has been all in on this ever since the beginning. It is like, I just can't express enough how much I appreciate all of the support we have gotten.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure. I mean, there's other people, like I said, More Heart Than Scars, and that's where I heard about it the first time was from people from More Heart Than Scars, and then like I was saying, being from Seattle, I was telling Brian too. Don, who's the producer of this, he still lives in Seattle. So if you need help finding a hospital that you need to go to, or help with the teddy bears, or any help at all, reach out to Don. He's gonna yell at me again for volunteering him for things, but I've been doing it for 40 years, so it's okay. But
I mean, we got to volunteer people every once in a while.
yeah. Well, me and Don, it's like a double. Me and Don, we met in preschool, so we've known each other a while. It's always been
more to do this than
yeah. I'm always been the idea guy, and then he makes it happen. So he's the yeah. So it's like the podcast. It wouldn't happen. I'm the idea guy. I'm here. I'm the voice. I'm the the person everyone sees and hears. He's the one that makes everything run in the background. He's the one setting up, scheduling. He's the one doing all that. So I mean, he's the one that really 90% of BeastNet is Dawn, and I'm just the voice. I get on here, spend an hour talking to you, having a great conversation, getting to know you, having fun, and then he steps in behind me and fixes whatever I did and makes it sound good and look good. So
whatever, right?
Yeah.
And that's what part of this bear crawl thing that I love too is the fact that so wherever we're holding these, we try to find a member of the Spartan community that's local to that area that this is going to impact more than, like, I mean, I'm to make an impact everywhere. but I'm not going to be as connected to Cincinnati's hospital as someone who's actually in Cincinnati, right? So we've been finding people that are local Spartans and that represent Spartan and what it means to be a Spartan to handle the delivery, as long as they're willing to handle the delivery of the teddy bears to the hospital. And it adds that extra element of support. In all honesty, these people that are coming out and volunteering without us even asking is amazing on top of everything else.
And like I said, anything you need help with, I mean, he's good. And I know he knows the hospitals down there or up there in Seattle. He knows which ones to use and probably like that. He probably could even get contacts. I mean, he's a smart guy. And then there's also another group, Beasts OCR, that would be a good one to help like get people to the event. So
yeah, that'd be awesome. You know, all the help we can get. That's
yeah. I mean, anything that's helping the kids like this is, like I said, it's one of those things. I've been through a couple. I've had, luckily none of my kids. I mean, I say that, but like, my nephew, I had a goddaughter, a few other things that have been in the hospital, and things have happened. And that's one of the things that's just amazing to me is to do stuff like this and help those kids and those families and everything like that. I mean, it's a lot of times too, it's not just the kids, it's helping the families as well, because it gives them something to smile about, something to give them, like I said, hope. Hope is amazing thing when a child is sick or anything like that. Just that little bit of hope, a little bit of love, you know.
uh, in this day and age, we need all the little bit of love we can get.
Yes, we do.
Anything that we can do to help in that aspect, I say do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is, and I can't wait. Like I said, Dallas, I'll definitely be doing it in Dallas. If somehow, some way I get up to Seattle, I'll do it there. I don't know which other one I would do. I might try and do Central Florida again in December, but I don't know if my wife's gonna be okay with that, but we'll figure it out.
For forgiveness.
It is. So you got to start doing with the Tough Mudders too. You could do them at World's Toughest, Yeah, there we go.
No, one change we made too is, so in Atlanta, we held it on Saturday morning at 7 a.m. before anything happened. And after we got done with it and we were I was doing the Beast, so doing the trifecta weekend. We started talking about it to people out on course, and we're like, a lot of people would have joined if they would have known. So now we moved it to Sunday.
Yep.
And that gets more people involved. But one thing we've realized too is on Sunday, we're all sore from either the ultra or the Beast the day before. So it's
it
like,
makes it a little,
the crawl it's a nice little shakeout before you forget or finish off your trifecta weekend.
Yeah. See, now I think what you should do, and then this is because I have horrible ideas, because you should run the course in a teddy bear outfit with a flag that says "Come to a teddy bear crawl with me," and then everyone would be like, "What is that?"
That'd be great at the beginning of the year, but probably not in Dallas in October.
Like I said, it would sound like a great idea as long as it wasn't me doing it. I mean,
right.
This is a great idea for you, but not for me. Yeah.
I know I ordered one of those custom Spartan jerseys that you can get from Legend, or I think it's like, yeah, on the back of it I put Bearcrawl 23. So
There you go. See, and that's what I mean. It's like getting those things where people ask questions like, "Wait, what is that?"
Yeah.
And knowing Dan, I'm sure that they're, if you do it on Sunday, they're going to be, the announcers, make sure the announcers say it throughout the day, get people like, "Hey, if you want to know about the bear crawl,
Yep.
go talk to so-and-so or do this." So, I mean, it's awesome how, like, when an idea like this comes up, we have an organization like Spartan, where most organizations would be like, "Yeah, whatever, dude, go away." And Spartan's like, that sounds like a pretty cool idea. Let's do it, which is just amazes me.
Well, and it's not very often that, like, so, and when you think about this isn't Spartan doing, like, Spartan's allowing us to use their course, allowing their volunteers a little bit. Like, we're not trying to add any extra work to them. But Spartan gets nothing out of this except for, just like, I guess, publicity,
Yeah.
which they have that.
Mhm.
So it's most industry, like companies that are as big as Spartan, if they're not going to get anything out of it, they're not going to want to promote it or help it. And that's just another reason. Like, I sit there and I say how much I appreciate what Spartan does. They're letting us use their old medals, to hand out as what you earn for these bear crawls. They don't have to. And it's a great thing. Like, I cannot, once again, I can't express how much I appreciate it.
Which is amazing, 'cause it's one thing a lot of people don't think about. Even when you do like a lot of these like charity 5Ks or these charity things, the some of that money does go to the charity, but a lot of that also goes to the cost for the venue, the
Yep.
cost for this. So Spartan is basically taken and said, "Oh, hey, we're going to take all that cost away. So pretty much everything that everyone donates, instead of having to pay for, medals, instead of having to pay for, any of that, all of that goes directly to the teddy bears, directly to the kids, which is awesome."
Yeah, and that's just it too with us. Like, so the volunteers, like Brian and Steve, Dan, myself, when we go to these events, we don't get any of that money that's donated. We don't take any of that for covering our expenses to go there. You know what I mean? And all the money that's donated, the only thing we have going that we're going to get away from hopefully next year and have it figured out is, right now we're using GoFundMe as our racing platform, so they take a fee for every donation.
Yeah.
Right. It's not an extravagant amount, but it's a little bit, and it still drives me nuts because I want every penny to go towards teddy bears.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
more
yeah.
teddy we get, the more kids we impact, and I just want as much possible to go to the kids, and that's what everybody's donation goes to. It goes to the kids, the teddy bears.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's like, we're not making money off of this or taking money from it. That's our purpose, is we want to impact the kids.
Yeah, this is all for the kids, which is the other part that amazes me, because that's one thing that, I mean, I'll be honest, I've looked at a few different like charity organizations, and
Right.
when you look at them and you find out like, okay, wait a minute, the CEO is getting this, and this is going to this, and like, if I donate $10, like 10 cents of that $10 actually goes to what I want it to go to, and then you see something like yours where it's like, pretty much besides what GoFundMe is taking, 100%
Yep.
goes to, you know, getting
Yep.
teddy bears for kids, which that part amazes me. And I'm hoping, I mean, hopefully, for next year, or whatever you can find, because I think there is ones, especially if you can become a 501c3, that where you can get donations to you where there is no like stuff
Yep.
taken out.
That's where we're held up right now, because we wanted to see how this year went. We wanted this year to get going and get everything put together before we filed everything for a 501c3. People don't understand how much work goes into a 501c3. Some people don't. I didn't realize how much extra work it was going to be. So we're just getting through this year. But next year we're aiming for it to be, as long as we get the interest, which I believe we're not going to have a problem with the way it's
No, I
going.
think you can get it.
Yeah. And the 501c3 is going to be a next year thing, and then we can have a better platform for raising. And at that point, also try to look for a distributor that makes teddy bears here and wherever, to help out with that cost as well. At the end of the day, we're trying to get as many teddy bears as possible to kids as possible.
Yeah. And I will say this, just because Don loves it when I keep getting in and volunteering for stuff. Don's dealt with 501c3s in the past, so he might
We've
be a
had
good person to talk to.
people reach out actually that have done before. So it's like I said, the amount of support we've gotten. One thing is, it's for kids. When it comes to something that's for kids, you're going to get support.
Yeah.
And it just, people are donating their time, and time is valuable. to help make this happen.
Which, like I said, is just it amazes me, and also in the OCR community to see how many people will step up to help others. You see it here with what you guys are doing. I see it a lot with like More Heart Than Scars, all that kind of stuff. But then you also see it on the course.
At every race I go to and I see More Hearts and Scars, or you see Oscar Mike, or you see other foundations that help build people up. Every time I go by them, I'm like, thank you for what you do, because the recognition is deserved. Because it's amazing. Like if you ever had any doubt that there was nobody good left in the world, go to a Spartan race. You're gonna find, there.
You'll find a couple, people, because you're always doing everything where there's somebody that's just like someone needs to just hold them under the dunk wall. But then 90% of the people at a Spartan race, if you're having problems on an obstacle, you can almost guarantee that somebody's going to turn to you and say, hey, do you need a knee? Do you need a hand? Do you need a boost? And all that kind of stuff. Where else do you see that?
I talk to a lot of people about this obstacle course racing. Like I said, I'm from northern Minnesota. Unfortunately, we don't have the people that turn up to these events to make it worth them coming up here. Because at the end of the day, it is a company. They need to make money. They need to make it worth it. They're not going to just show up. So I try to explain to these people what you experience out there on the course, and words will never be able to do justice to actually experiencing it. And the sense of accomplishment. My first Spartan was, I signed up for a 10K because coming into this, 6 miles ain't that bad running, was in San Bernardino, California. It was cold and actually hilly. I knew nothing about running hills. And I mean, I cramped up when I went to jump up for my rope climb, and then fell down, and then got up and did the rope climb again. But I finished it. And as soon as I got that medal over my neck, like I'm not an athlete by any means, right? Or I wasn't. That was the first thing I really ever earned. And you start to tear up when you start getting that type of accomplishment. My only other award before that, besides the military awards, which are like candy being out, but but my only other thing that I ever got was I got a basketball my varsity year, or my senior year in high school, because I scored 4 points my varsity career. I mean, that's how good of an athlete I was. Then I went to a school where you graduated with 18 kids, and I was only on the basketball team because you didn't have to try out for it. You could just sign up and join it. And score 4 points your varsity career. When you got that first medal from a Spartan race, you're proud of yourself because you can't fake that. You did that. It's something you can't fake. And
I still have my first Spartan medals like in a special spot so that I know where it is, because one, it was a one of a kind that they only did once. And two, it was because people who listen to podcasts know I don't pay attention sometimes, and I don't do research. So my very first Spartan race in 2015 was the Montana Beast. And that was before Spartan actually started like keeping track of miles. So I think that one, in 2015, it was just 13 plus.
13 plus.
And I think that one ended up being like 22 or 23 miles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was brutal.
You had the elevation for sure there too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was brutal. So I really felt like, but what's funny is actually when I finished, I got the medal. I looked at my wife and said, this is stupid. I'm never doing it again. I think I've done over 75 now.
Yeah. I think everybody that has ever said they're never doing a Spartan race again has signed up for more. I don't know of anybody that has done one Spartan race and said, I'm done, and actually lived through it. They're going to do another one. It's addicting. It really is.
It is because because all of a sudden once you've done one, because that was mine. I did the Beast, and then it was like we'd volunteered, so I had two free races because my wife doesn't do them at all, but she would volunteer with me and then give me the free races. Well, we volunteered before the race, so I had two free races, and I'm like, well, I've gotten the green one. I might as well get the blue and the red now and get a trifecta. So I did a trifecta that year, and then someone convinced me to start join the street team. So now I'm getting even more free races because I'm on street team and I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm telling other people go do this. So yeah, it was just yeah. And then
Well,
my wife's like, "Hey, there's one in Hawaii," and I'm like, "Oh, cool!" And it's the weekend of our anniversary. Guess we're going for a 10-year anniversary to Hawaii, and I'm doing a Spartan race. Yeah, so it was
since
yeah.
you know you've fallen for the Spartan or fallen into the Spartan family when you start scheduling your vacations around where the Spartan races are going to be.
Well, that's one thing I've told a lot of people. That was the deal that me and my wife made because my wife doesn't do the races at all. She's like, "Nope, that's not something I want to do." And I'm like, "Cool, okay, that's fine." But then we made a deal that if I get to travel for a Spartan race, she gets a vacation.
Right.
So every Spartan race that I'd go to, everyone's always like, "Why do you always go to like warm tropical places that you do Spartan races?" I'm like, "Because that's where my wife wants to go to vacation."
So now you just moved to Austin so you don't have to travel as far
Yeah.
for vacation.
So yeah, pretty much. So I moved to Houston so I could just get, whatever. Because there's a race in Houston. I didn't go to the Austin race because it was right after. I can't remember. What did I do? Oh, I did North Carolina like the week before.
Oh,
And
okay.
I did the Ultra North Carolina. I'm like, I'm not doing another race. So I need a break. So I didn't do Austin, but I'm going to do Dallas. So, and I
Nice.
also did the Galveston Ironman in April. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, I did that. Well, the half Ironman because I can't do a full one, but
I mean, even a half Ironman though, that's not something to just bat your eyes at either. You know what I mean?
it was now I want to do it again though next year because I want to beat my time. I'm like, I don't feel like I did a good enough time. I need to do it again and do better.
Well, and that's part of why people keep on doing these Spartans too. Like it's going to be one of two reasons, right? Or one of three reasons, I think. It's either you like the community,
Hmm.
you felt community, you finally found your people, right? You either want to try to beat your time that you had because you think you can do better or you know you can do better, or it wasn't a hard enough challenge, so you're going to try to challenge more.
Yeah.
You're trying to what's next.
Yeah, and see, I've done that where I hit that because during COVID, I dropped like 100 pounds during COVID. And I was down to 180 pounds, and I actually did the Montana trifecta weekend and said, I'm gonna ruck it. And so
Right.
I had a 20, and it was only a 20-pound ruck, but I rucked the entire like trifecta weekend. So, and I didn't even take it off for the obstacles. I went up and over bender. I went up and I did the rope climb. I did it all with the ruck.
You say only 20 pounds, but only 20 pounds after miles, it gets heavy. I
It
mean,
does.
I'd rather bear crawl another super than do that. I can't say that. I'm not gonna lie. I can't say it. It took me a while to get feeling back in my hands after
Oh,
that
I
one.
bet. I bet. Yeah, no, that was like in the beast. I was like almost like halfway through the beast. I'm like, this was the stupidest idea I've ever had. And then they're like,
But
so what? You're not going to finish and do it tomorrow? I'm like, no, I'm doing it tomorrow because I said I was going to do a trifecta weekend and with a rock, but this is stupid.
the stupid ideas are always the best ones, though,
Oh yeah,
because and I think Spartan has it figured out to where if you do something stupid for the beast, you start off at the biggest race. So when you're sitting there thinking about quitting, you're like, well, I have shorter races. I don't have to go this far again.
yeah,
Why stop now? I already did the hard one. You know?
yeah. Because that's kind of and that's the smart way because they have Saturdays the long one and the shorter ones are Sundays. So it's like in North Carolina, I did the ultra and I'm like, I'm racked. My feet, I had blisters, everything like that. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, well, I did the 30 miles to Saturday. I might as well come back for 10 tomorrow.
Right.
And then one of my buddies, I'm like, I need to pop something. He's like, you shouldn't pop the blisters. I'm like, if I don't pop the blisters, I'm not walking 10 miles. So we're going to be popping some blisters and I'm going to go walk some 10 miles. But
That's just it. It's just I mean, in all reality, I think it helps with your recovery because it keeps you active rather than sitting there and just letting everything build up.
yeah. Oh, yeah, I
I know
agree.
Dallas is going to be fun because Brian has me convinced to do my first ultra at the Dallas event, and then the day after will be the bear crawl, and then the other two races after that. So
Yeah.
you're gonna hear me crying a little bit too.
I say Dallas is it's a good one to do the ultra. I will say this: I did 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. I did the Dallas Ultra when it was at the old location, and the old location was even better though because it was just flat.
Yep.
And this one's got a lot more of the down into the yeah.
Well, yeah, because 2 years ago is when a group of us from that app that I was telling you about,
Mhm.
we had people flying from Germany actually, and we
Oh,
just had
that's
a
awesome.
group of us come and do this the Dallas Beast. And it was fairly flat. It wasn't hard 2 years ago.
Mm.
So then last year when I decided to bear crawl the 10K there, they're like, oh, the flat and dry is what I was looking for locations to do my bear crawls, right? Arizona was raining and they had the I think the National Guard there with fire hoses for the barbed wire crawl. Like there's probably pictures or video of me underneath the barbed wire after I've been bear crawling the 5K part of it, that I was like, this sucks. Why am I doing the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm like, it's for the kids. It's for the kids.
All for the kids.
But then you go to Dallas and it's just rock after rock. And I mean, like, when I say we're done after mile 2, those last 4 miles sucked. Like, they were rough. It took me.
I bet.
It took me 3 weeks after I completed that to get feeling in my palms again.
Yeah. And see, don't worry, listeners. We're only doing half a mile. Not. Wear gloves. Wear gloves. That you'll be fine.
Yep. Half a mile. Most of the times it's been taking like 30 to 35 minutes tops is what we've been running with these. But if you want to challenge yourself, just come out and try it. If you just want to come out, you want to come out and walk the whole thing, I personally don't care. I didn't say that, but as long as you donate.
Yeah. Definitely donate, and we'll make sure that on the episode for this one and the one with Brian there's like links to donate and all that stuff so people can find you. So is there anything else you want to say to the listeners before we get on out of here?
All I know, I know donations aren't necessary. Bear crawling is not necessary, right? You don't have to do the bear crawl in order to donate, and you don't have to donate in order to do the bear crawl. We ask for a donation. Any little bit of it helps. And the way it breaks down is about each teddy bear costs about $4.60 for each teddy bear, right? So if you can donate $5, you're providing one teddy bear to one kid. If you're looking for a way to get to the links, if you go to GoFundMe and just search Teddy Bearcrawl, you're going to come up with the list of every location, because every location has its own GoFundMe. And then if you want to sign up, you can always get a hold of me somehow through Facebook or Instagram, and we have a Google Doc form. Really, all of our promotion and links have been on Facebook. But no, let's make as big of a difference as we can. Let's make as big of an impact as we can. One of my favorite sayings lately has been, be the change you want to see.
Yep.
That's what we're doing here. It's all about providing that comfort and making a difference in the world.
Yeah. And I challenge everyone listening to this, sign up for one and then tell 3 of your friends to do the same thing.
Absolutely. Let's make it a party.
Yeah. Let's get it out there and have a party and just go for it.
Yep.
Let's make Spartan run out of kids' medals by doing this.
Right? Then we can figure out what we need to do then. Yeah. That's a good problem to have.
It is. It's a very good problem to have. So, all right. Well, thank you for talking to me. I will make sure there's the calendar as on the link to this. We'll get the calendar on there so everyone can see which ones they're going to be at and how to sign up.
Beautiful. I appreciate you guys having me on. I appreciate all of your support. Like I said, words can never explain how much this means to me.
No. And we're I mean, for such a great thing, we'll help push it. We'll help get as many people out there as we can. So my goal, like I said, is to try and make Seattle whoop everybody else. So, I mean, I may not be there anymore, but I know enough people that we should be able to get some people out there.
your heart's there. And I hope every event so we beat Atlanta. I hope every event keeps beating the previous one.
I hope so. And then I hope next year it's even bigger.
Me too. I'm right there. Let's do it.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Nice to meet you. See you soon.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the BeastNet Podcast. If you haven't done it yet, find us on Facebook, like and share the podcast. Give us a review on iTunes or Spotify. All these things will help to expand the show in the future. Don't forget to subscribe and let us know what you think and what you'd like to hear.